What's going on, everyone? I'm Ronald, coach of the Waltham Watchhogs,
I'm Mohammed, coach of the Worcester Red Sox.
and we just want to welcome you guys to what might be a multi-week series, where we just
Might
like,
be.
which will be a multi-week series where we
There it
just
is.
we just yap about Pokemon, um, kind of like a Lost Pod replacement, but really, the thirst for content has just gotten to us. So
Name in progress. Drop suggestions.
we'll figure that out as we go. I think week one is coming up, so I think everyone's doing it. Why not we do it? We're just gonna go through everyone's teams. We'll go in draft order, just 1 through 16, and then we'll give immediate thoughts on the team, what we think. We'll we'll make a tier list after that. Will be incredibly wrong by the end of the season, and then we'll give you guys what we think might be like a match of the week to watch out. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let the record show before we start, all views expressed in this video are explicitly Ronald's, even though if they come out of my mouth, I will not be held liable for anything that I say or do in this recording.
All right, yeah. All your anger can be pointed at me. I think it'll be fun.
Ronald's the one with the takes. I'm just here as tech support.
All right. So let's start it off. We got the I believe the rebrand to the Good Guy Gudras, formerly
Yeah.
Guyana Gudras, by
Yeah,
Rockwell.
what happened to the Caribbean vibes, man? What
Yeah,
happened?
I want the Guyana Gudras. We had like
Well,
multiple. We had multiple
Guyana's
changes.
Guyana's right on the Caribbean, right?
I'm gonna
It's
be
it's in
real.
South America, but I think it's right on the Caribbean.
I've got no clue where it is. I'm gonna be real. Like that's So just looking at his team, he's got the Iron Hands with his first overall pick. He had the wheel pick as well, so he drafted Polito, then Iron Jugulus, Sinistra, Baxcalibur, Weezing and Toadscruel, Weirdeer, Scizor, Iron Moth. Looking at it immediately, it's a Rockwell team. Like
Yeah.
I don't really need to say anything else. I think Iron Hands, very obvious. Like if you're gonna Rockwell's gonna build what he thinks is the best Pokemon available. This thing's got bulk, it's fake out, it's trick room. Like this is Rockwell.
Yeah, and like looking at this team, he's got ways to take advantage of all of the strengths of these Pokemon, right? Iron Hands Sinistra is a dangerous Trick Room combination. Wheezing Toadscruel, we know what that does, right? Um, Politoed Jugulus, Iron Jugulus in the rain is not to be slept on at all. Um, and yeah, there's definitely like a couple of mons here where it's I'm curious to see how Rockwell makes them work. I'm curious to see if they stay on the roster at all. Um, but all in all, if there's any builder who will find some synergy that none of the other 15 coaches in this league will find, I think it's Rockwell.
Yeah,
Um,
even like first glance, like you think, all right, he's got three Quark drivers. Like, where's the booster energy gonna go? He's got like Toadscruel, which might completely rely on Wheezing. But you also have to like look deeper. Like these these like Iron Mons can function with different items. Iron Hands did it for like an entire reg. Like you can
Iron
run
Hands is better without the booster
yeah,
energy.
you can run Levitate or Misty Surge on Weezing. Like you have terrain. Baxcalibur is a Rockwell special. It's just like he's got a ton of options. Like it doesn't look like it now, but I can guarantee you by week four, everyone's gonna be scared of this team.
Yeah, and I mean, it may not look the same in week four. Rockwell's someone who is not afraid to mix things up and find his footing. Um, but I mean, he found his stride halfway through last season, and he's picking up right where he left off with this roster. Uh, I am very curious to see how he takes advantage of some of these bonds towards the end of the roster. Weird Ear is an incredible pick. Having Intimidate, having a normal psychic type that sets Trick Room in a very different way than Frigraph does, I think is really cool. Uh, Iron Moth is stupid special attack stat. You can throw a booster energy on that thing, and Rockwell is someone who is not afraid of the damage calculator just saying yes. So that's terrifying Mon in his hands. Uh, yeah, all in all, just definitely not a fun team to prep for,
No.
which is going to be a recurring theme. I might say that sentence 16 times.
I think there's 15 different teams this draft that I don't want to prep for. So I would agree with you. Moving
Oh,
on,
true. You're
we
right. 15. The Woo Sox, eh.
yeah. No, I'm talking my team. I don't want to prep for my team. Moving on, we have AJ's team, the Toronto Toads. Second overall pick, starting off with Ogerpon Wellspring, followed by Roaring Moon, Cresselia, Florges, Conkeldurr, Glamora, Moltres, Sandy Shocks, Cobalion, Ambipon, Lapras. Sadly, no Thwacky, no Wood Slim Jim, no Sudo Voodoo, but
Would slam Jim and would slam him. Oh,
rest in
seven's in the chat.
rest in peace. But on an unrelated note, this is like a very interesting team. The Roaring Moon is a criminally underrated mon, and we still like think it's strong. Wellspring's gonna
How many points was Warring Moon?
um
Do you
let's
have that up on this copy
yeah,
of the sheet? Let's see here.
I can pull that up quick.
Yeah, let's look at the drafts. It'll
Second round, Roaring Moon went for 17.
17. I mean, even though our max was 19 and not 20, 17 could prove to be low for Roaring Moon,
That
given its versatility, given its offensive output.
like you have knockoff acrobatics. You've got fast tailwind. Like I think that's just like basic ideas, but I'm fairly confident. Don't quote me. You can get breaking swipe on it. You can
Yep.
probably. I would be shocked if it couldn't dragon dance. Like this rock slide, I think it has. Like this thing can do damage. Rest of the
Rock
team
Slide
as
is the
well.
only one I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah.
Rest of the team as well. You got Cresselia with levitate. Like he can stall if he really wants to. Conkeldurr Cresselia will be a duo. I don't think we need to introduce Glamora at all. Sandy Shocks, Cobalion Ambipom as well is something that I'm excited to see. Like, I think it does get beat up, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a good to fair chance. It looks like I'm on that gets beat up.
Yeah. So we get beat up. The rest of this team, Symbiosis, I don't even want to talk about. I did not know what that did about 5 minutes ago. Um, that's disgusting.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing with AJ's team is Rock I mean, this is the first time I'm really looking at any of the rosters, so it's going to be a lot of comparing as we go. Rockwell's roster strikes me as one where, you know, there's very clear pairings, there's very clear jumps off the page synergy. AJ's roster has some of that, um, but it definitely has more of like the good stuff's vibe, where there's a lot of strong Pokemon here. There's a lot of really cool potential, right? You could run fast offense with the likes of Sandy Shocks and Glamora and Ogerpon. You could run setup with the likes of Cobalion, with the likes of Roaring Moon, with the likes of Ogerpon, right? You could run Trick Room with like, you know, Cresselia and Conk and who else is slow? Lapras is slow-ish, but like, you know, Cresselia Conk is like a crazy trick room duo, right? But it's a lot of very like disjoint things, which again is hard to prep for. Um, but definitely like more of like a good stuff type vibe. I'm curious to see how he pieces teams together throughout the season here.
I think if I had to look at like an underrated synergy piece, I'm thinking Glamora, and I'm thinking whatever other Mon is gonna make opponents want to swap off the field. Like I don't know if any of
Mm.
them, but I could see him going for like Glamora Florges just for no good reason, just to like be a pain in the ass to remove. Maybe not Florges is the best Mon, but like Glamora will be a pain on this team, I think.
Glamora is always a pain in whatever format it's in, um, because you can deal with either Glamora that's going to set up for the rest of the team to be bulky and stall you out, or you could set up, or you could deal with Glamora. That's just going to click power herb, meteor beam, turn one, take a KO, right? So, or like even like slapping something like a choice specs on this thing is like kind of scary depending on the matchup, right? A lot of good coverage on this team, a lot of good options. Um, Not as many just like instant go kind of options on this roster. Uh, but AJ's a very solid player. He's a very solid builder. I'm sure he'll figure it out.
All right. Moving on next, we have the Sassy Sylveons, coached by Alec. Starting us off, first pick, Ogerpon, Hearthflame, P2, Thunderous, Ursaluna. We might as well stop the team right there because that is just a disgusting four. We've got Suicune, we've got Sylveon, T-Tar's back, Toxicroak, Orthworm, Noctowl, Cacturn. This is a
I'm
not
I am
fun.
so glad I don't play Alec again this season. Oh my god. Oh my god, this roster is filthy.
The fact that we have P2 and Ursaluna on the same team is nuts.
It's P2 Ursaluna on a roster where you have to deal with Ogerpon, with Thunderous and Suicune to like just make it go fast, with Toxicroak as great fake out support. Oh my god, this is actual wow.
Yeah,
This is a masterclass in drafting. This is Alec came out. It very much looks like Alec came in with a strategy and he executed.
yeah.
Um,
One of
he
the
he he said, "I want to build around the bonk, and I want to." And P2 Ursaluna's on the board. I'm gonna take it. Um, I am a little upset because I was looking at Thunderous round 3. I was looking at Ogerpon round 1, and Alec was 2 picks before me and got both. But yeah,
I remember the one thing that scared me the most is this Ursaluna because I was looking at Orthworm in I believe round 9. Alec drafted the Orthworm. You have Ursaluna. You know exactly what that's doing. Hell, if you want to, you can bring Defiant Thunderous. Like, why would you do that? I don't know, but
oh,
it's
there are
awesome.
ways.
Like, I, Ogerpon needs
it's
no introduction. Like,
it's the
if
fact that Alec can come out 1 week and play Thunderous Ogerpon, GG's Thunderwave plus Bonk, right? Or in that same week, you also have to think about P2 Ursaluna T-Tar Earthworm, just like hard sand, right? And that's also scary because it's like if you don't have the tools to break through both, or if you don't have the tools to break through one and survive the other, right? You're kind of pinned.
you're cooked.
So yeah,
Uh,
God,
as
this is a terrifying roster.
as someone who played Sand throughout the entirety of Reg H, T-Tar is a mon that will exist. If they Alec can go the unnerve route if they really want to. Like that's like if you aren't bringing a hard sand mode, but you want to bring the T-Tar and you're confident in your special defense that you don't need sand stream, just shut down berries. Like why not? Um if you want to, you can click Rain Dance Thunderous. You have Wild Bolt Storm, which is a disgusting move. You've got Dry Skin Toxicroak. You have Suicune, who gets, I want to say, gets Scald.
I believe Suicune's like one of like 10 mons that gets called. Yeah.
This is not a fun team to play against. I think if someone had the best draft, I do think it was Alec. Or
And he got the
up
Sylveon.
up there, and
And on
they
top of
got
that, he got the
they got
Sylveon.
Sylveon on top. Um, why did we let this happen? I don't
Shame
know.
on all of us.
In a very different direction, moving on to the next team, we have the Stoneham Superiors. I believe is this Anthony Foti?
This is Anthony.
This is Anthony. Starting off, we have. I think they missed their first round, which was slightly unfortunate. So,
I will say, exclusive scoop to the for the as yet unnamed pod. As the person who was texting Anthony to get his picks half the time, uh, this is like pretty damn close, like almost to the mon to the roster he wanted. He missed a round and still got everything he wanted anyways. And when you look at this roster, you see why.
yep. Let's looking at it. Just a hunch. I think he's playing Sun. Um, Not sure why. He's got the Dragonite, he's got Great Tusk, he's got Jumpluff. He got Ninetales for his Sunsetter, Venusaur, Typhlosion, Hisui, Brute Bonnet, Charizard, Snorlax, and Braviary. I think everyone's gonna know what this team is doing. Three powder users is kind of crazy, but I think the fact that you can innovate all three of them in different ways is gonna still make it a dangerous team.
Yeah, Jumpluff doesn't have to run Sleep Powder to be annoying. Venusaur has a respectable special attack stat. Brute Bonnet has a respectable attack stat, right? You can play this team. All of these mons have some amount of flexibility. My one concern with this roster that I've voiced to Anthony specifically, and I play him, so I hope he doesn't take this to heart, is this is a roster that you immediately knows what it wants to do. And this is the type of team Anthony loves to build. He loves to build a team that is very honest, very upfront, says, this is how I want to beat you. Can you stop it? And in normal VGC, I think there's like a huge degree to which that is very plausible. In draft, where people are building for versatility, it might prove to be a little tricky. Like, this team has Achilles heels, plural. And that being said, it's on people to exploit it. Anthony's a very unpredictable player, someone who's willing to play very aggressive, make very crazy calls. And having played in a draft setting with him outside of Lost Woods, he is willing to, he will play honest, but every now and then he'll catch you off guard with the build. So, like looking at like there's a Snorlax on this team, there's the Dragonite on this team, right? Not everyone here is a Sun abuser. He doesn't have to go Sun, but if you don't have a way to stop the Sun, you are in trouble.
I think looking at the team, I think I can speak for like a lot of the draft. Like everyone will build safety goggles against this team in some way. They will probably bring a check. I think a really smart thing is your number one check for Dragonite is going to be Fairy Mons and it's going to be Ice Mons. Are you really willing to bring that into Ninetales and Hisui and Typhlosion? Probably not, and that's what makes it very difficult to prepare. Braviary has Defiant as well. That's something that you might not be able to check Great Tusk on. We have two Chlorophyll Mons, but it might as well be three. Brute Bonnet's usually defense. I'd say it's not too much of a Chlorophyll.
It's all about how you EV it. You can get a speed boost off of photosynthesis. You can get an attack boost off of photosynthesis if you EV Brute Bonnet the correct way.
Yeah. Overall, it's a very, in my opinion, one-dimensional hyper offense team. But like, if you can't stop this thing, you're just gonna lose. Like, case in point, like this team will go fast. It's gonna go fast, and it's up to you to stop
it. Yeah, I'm not seeing. This is. I said I'm not gonna give any takes. This might be the one take I give all video. I think in 8 weeks, Anthony will play no more than 2 game 3s, one way or another. I don't know how these matches are going to go. I don't think a lot of these matches are going to 3.
I think that's a reasonable take. To take. Next up, a team that's very familiar to one of us. The Worcester.
It is. I don't know it.
Is the Worcester Woosox, coached by Muhammad. Muhammad, would you like to take us through this team?
Yeah. So we've got the Golden Goat, the Galarian Zapdos. We've got Bundle, Weavile, Gastrodon, Hisui and Arcanine, Hatterene, and Latias. And then we got the vibes with Toadschool, with Squawkabilly, with Crocolore, with Brionne. Definitely a very fun roster. I have thoughts on it, but y'all probably don't want to hear my thoughts. Ronald, I want to hear yours.
All right, I'll give you my thoughts. I'm going to be the same way with my roster. So, looking at the team, I think it's pretty obvious that I think these top I think these top mons, top seven, top eight mons are gonna be threats. Um, I think you're always gonna bring four of them. I like Goldingo as a Pokemon. Defiant on that bird is gonna be a menace. Bundle, I think a lot of people think Bundle is eh. I think it's just toolkit. I think Bundle could be the fastest mon in the format with booster energy. Don't quote me on that, but it's up there. Weavile is just
I'm fairly certain it is.
Weavile is just a fake out
Even
mon.
naturally.
Yeah, it's gonna go fast. Weavile is a fake out mon. Gastrodon solid. I'm scared of this thing, man. I'm scared. I don't like Arcanine when I go against it. Like this thing, are you gonna bring Intimidate? So I gotta prep for Intimidate. I gotta bring Clamulet, and then Intimidate doesn't go off, and you know you're about to get head smashed. And the question is, what are you gonna do about it? Hatterene. I think if I had to give an honest opinion, Hatterene's the one Mon I question on this team, just because unless I'm missing something, I don't really see the Trick Room abusers. That's just me though. Latias, I know you were trying to trade me for Latios, but I think it's still a really solid mon. I think these four. I think if you want to run Sea of Fire, that is a pretty funny thing you can do. Toad School, redirecting, intimidate squawk ability. I think it's gonna be a solid team.
I will say a couple things I'll chime in on. Um, I was very aggressively trying to trade with you Latios for Latias. They do different things. I think both of them fit on my roster really well. We both like Latios for our respective rosters more. But I'm excited to Latios is a Pokemon I've built with before. I'm very comfortable playing it. This team is very much an exercise in me playing with a style that I'm not necessarily comfortable in. But I think if there's any setting that is like ripe for experimentation, it is draft, where I know I am coming up against this 10 to 12 mons and I can prepare very specifically with a new, more offensive mindset that I have played in the past. Um, the other things I'll point out, I didn't even think about pledge moves with my two starters at the back. I'm not gonna lie, kind of excited. I don't think it'll ever see the light of day, but that's fun. Don't sleep on Toad School. I think Toad School is incredibly goofy support, especially given the fact that it can hold an Eviolite and be relatively bulky-ish, not crazy bulky, but just a little bit. And there is one correct squawkability, and I'm glad you put the correct squawkability on this sheet. Um, of the four squawkability, two do not exist because they have a bad ability. And then of the other two, one is just objectively more fun than the other, and you picked the correct.
I'll take it. Another thing, I think also really good defensively. If you're gonna build like your centerpiece around Goldingo, ground tends to be the weakness. Latias as a levitator, also as a special attack tank, will be able to take those attacks if need be. Um,
Listen, I see ground types. I will click Hydro Pump. They will land. I
as a
promise you.
as a Kyogre player, I expect nothing less. All right, we'll continue on. Speaking of rain, definitely a soft rain team coming up. Elena, coach of the Battleboro Breelooms, starting off Ogerpon, Teal Mask, Basculegion, Murkrow, Archaludon, Salamence, Monkey Dory, Clefairy, and then I like this back four. You got Sneasel, Hisui, Torracat, Piloswine, and Minior.
Definitely a much more potent back four than the one we just looked at. That's for sure. Um, a lot like again, this is a team that this draft feels very similar to Rockwell's and Alex. Alex, not Alex, it's Alex. Um, that is difficult. This feels very similar in the same vein of there are a lot of synergies that jump off the page, and then there is subtext that you got to look at too, right? Week one opponent, I am not looking forward to this because Ogre Pond Teal Mask is a menace. Uh, having Defiant having Defiant as your ability, terrifying. Having a speed boost on your Terra, terrifying. I don't care that you don't have access to a defensive Terra. You are going to outspeed and bonk me. Um, and then you have, really strong rain mode. No, no natural rain, but I mean, you have Prankster Rain Dance if you want it. You have Monkey Dory to, fake out things. You have Torracat to fake out things. You have Sneasel to fake out things. You have a lot of ways to get in position with this team. Um,
Double
yeah,
intimidate as
incredibly
well.
terrifying.
Double
Double
intimidate.
intimidate.
Sorry,
Double intimidate if you want the intimidate. If you want the intimidate, you could also just go Moxie Salamence. I think that's a mistake, but you can go Moxie Salamence, right? So,
I think the one mon I'm super excited for is gonna be Archaludon because we just saw what this thing could do for about 4 months. It was one of the hated Pokemon for 4 months. Um, you can run your stamina sets. If Sneasel gets beat up, I don't know if it does.
I
That's
believe it
gonna be
does.
that's gonna be a pain to deal with. You have Sturdy if you want to go that way. If you want to, you can run Power Herb on this. You have Stalwart to surprise and get around your redirection mons. Like this thing can do a lot.
All 16 rosters have redirection. Arch does not care. Arch will just do its thing.
On top,
Um,
Murkrow as well. I think just having Prankster, you have Prankster Quash, Prankster Rain Dance. If you want to go surprise and go Sunny Wave, Sunny Day, and then get fire off a fire move on Salamence, go for it. I think my favorite mon on the team is Minior, mainly because I did try to build a Reg H team around it. Shields Down is a funny ability that doesn't see the light of day much, but I'm hoping Minior will come out at some point this season.
let's be real. There is a good to fair chance I just get rocked by Meteor in today is Thursday in a week.
Hey, Focus Sash, Meteor Beam, or no, that would be a bad set, but like Focus Sash with like setup move, that thing speed increases on Shields Down, that is not fun.
Nope. I'm good.
Yeah, overall strong team. The one thing I will say, thank you for not letting Corrosion get Ogre Pond Teal Mask. I do not want to know what they would have done if they got their hands on that. That would have just been not a fun time. Right. Hopefully now moving on where we'll have less tech difficulties, which we will have. Um we got Ivan's team, the Slow Bros. Ivan, I think the first player we brought up that I am personally unfamiliar with. Starting off, Ting Lu, Gouging Fire. Then you got Klefki, Thunderous Therian, Tauros Paldea Aqua, Tinkaton, Primarina, Serena, Elect Electivire, and Scyther. I definitely pronounced some of those names wrong, but I think these top
You
three
got all
are
of them.
I think these top three are something that you don't want to fight, no matter what.
No. And something to keep an eye on is in New England, we know gouging fire. Ivan may not be from New England, but he got the memo. He understands. He knows the assignment. Um, and he's got a lot of strong Pokemon to pair with gouging fire. Um, don't sleep on Tinkaton. Tinkaton's got a lot of crazy tech.
Mold Breaker Fake Out.
Ivan, Mold Breaker Fake Out is dangerous. Um, Ivan loves a Primarina build. Um, and Primarina is a Pokemon that has the versatility to do some damage in draft for sure. Um, you can build it as a bulky attacker. You can build it to be a little bit more supportive. Good haze user. Um, and yeah, like all in all, this team, uh, it has nothing that jumps off the page. But the second someone starts prepping for this team, it's like, oh no, oh I have to think about this and this and this and this and this. It's a problem.
I think the worst thing thinking about this team is Tinglu. I believe its ability boosts the special defense of Pokemon,
Uh,
or it lowers the special.
it lowers the special attack.
It lowers the
Everyone's special
special.
attack is cut 25%.
And you put that next to Gouging Fire, that does not care. Like you won't put Ting Lu next to like Primarina unless you want to run Ability Shield Primarina, which
I
someone
don't. I we need to reference Bulbapedia. I do not know if Ability Shield blocks the effects of
that
Vessel of
is
Ruin.
true, but that is something that I would personally think about if I played Ivan. Of course, it's just one Pokemon, but like based on how I got hard prepped against Weezing last year, we would do it. Um,
Yeah.
Thunderous
Um.
Therian, I think, is a really underrated mon on this team. I think that thing will pick up KOs. Klefki, it screens. I know this thing has Steel Beam from experience last draft. Um,
Yep.
Serena's just a crazy mon. If you know how to build Serena, that thing's disgusting. Technician
Yeah.
Scyther as well, criminally underrated.
Sorry, I choked harder than I will this season. Um. Actually, that's a lie. I'll choke harder this season. Um. Something to kind of point out that you kind of touched on. I haven't drafted Ting Lu. Yeah, you don't want to be on the field with Ting Lu. Things
Yeah,
on Ivan's team don't care. And for the matches where he doesn't bring Ting Lu, right, having Thunderous Therian and Primarina as the special attacking options, dangerous, very dangerous. Um, Ivan's a very like I think me and Anthony might be the only folks who have really interacted with Ivan much in this league. Y'all will get to know him. Great guy, great friend. Love the kid. Um, very creative builder, very solid player, very diligent in his preparation. So, uh, especially with a roster like this that has tools that he is both comfortable with and also has the skills to take advantage of, I would watch out.
this is definitely a roster I'm scared to play. I forgot if I have to play it. Moving on to another individual I personally don't know. Mr. B, coach of the New York Ninetales, starting the draft off with Ursaluna Blood Moon. It's got Dragapult. It's got Gothitelle, Amoonguss, Alolan Ninetales, Hariyama, Bisharp, Articuno. I don't know why Iron Bundle's on here. I think that is a doc mistake on me, which I will change really quick. And then Cricketune. It is Iron Boulder, which I completely understand why I messed up.
Uh, Iron B for
Um,
Mr. B.
that is on me. Um, but look,
The Iron
it's Iron
Boulder.
Boulder, guys. Nothing was wrong. Nothing was wrong. Starting this team off, I'm gonna be real. I'm scared of this Ninetales and Articuno combination.
Yeah, I only just clocked 15 seconds ago that we let Mr. B draft Articuno Blizzard spam. um, and that's something that you have to be aware of, right? But there's also Bisharp, right? I think Bisharp is incredibly cool. I tried using it back in like Reg B when I was like very first getting into VGC because I was like, oh, even like Bisharp could be cool. I think in a draft setting, it's even more cool.
I think,
Um,
yeah, Bisharp will either be the MVP of this team or it will be dropped by week 2.
no,
That is,
I think Bisharp has a place as like a very solid, can fill its role Pokemon. Being faster than King Gambit is very nice, and your attack stat is still respectable. Um, the thing that really stands out to me, right, is you've got Gothitelle, Amoonguss, Ursaluna, Bloodmoon, Hariyama. That is a terrifying trick room.
yeah.
Um, that is a trick room mode that will absolutely decimate you. And when you finally get out of the trick room, someone like Dragapult is waiting for you, or someone like Iron Boulder is waiting for you, right? Um, and Dragapult, I definitely underutilized it last season. Um, I have faith Mr. B can do Dragapult more justice than I did, because Dragapult, when we talk about like versatility in draft, mixed attacker with good attacking stats on both sides, physical and special, and gets some really good support tools and has a stupid speed stat, yeah, Dragon Bolt's a problem.
No, this team, Trick Room, it's going to be an issue. Weakness in the Trick Room, Gothitelle is your only thing. Your strength, you have Fake Out Hariyama, you have Amoonguss, or you just lead with Articuno or Blood Moon and say, what are you going to do about it? Like this is a very dangerous team. We're talking about all these mons. Iron Boulder still exists on this team. Definitely would be a hit or miss Pokemon, but I think it's going to be very strong. Cricketune, it's got Technician. I'm not, admittedly, I don't really know what it does. Um, I think it could be very strong at like certain niches, but
Does it get Pin Missile?
it might. I honestly have no clue. I'm gonna assume it gets Pin Missile just looking at it.
It could not. I don't know. I believe is Cricketune a fake out mon? It might be. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I don't
I
believe
know
so.
I've looked at Cricketune in some context. I don't remember off the top of my head. This is why we need Rockwell. We need Rockwell here. Rockwell knows all this stuff off top of his head. No looking things up.
If, the moment I find out he looked something up, we're calling him out on it though.
Oh, if Rockwell is ever in the call and we see him not looking at the camera, it's to be like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?
All
Come
right.
on, you're supposed to be the guy.
Yeah. Final round out on the team. Amoonguss. I think Amoonguss will be a cornerstone on this team. Regenerator needs no introduction. You have spores. If you want to pair with Gothitelle, you can. It's gonna be a strong ball.
Those picks 2 through 5: Dragapult, Gothitelle, Amoonguss, Alolan Ninetales.
I'd argue six as
Miss
well.
Miss Hariyama to a degree, but those four specifically, those are Pokemon where Mr. B is going to dictate the board state. You are going to have to come into a match. You're going to have to play at Mr. B's speed, and you're going to have to hope that they don't put you in a losing position before you can navigate out of whatever they've set, whatever board state they've dictated.
All right, moving on to the next team, the Northern Noiverns, coached by Liam, another coach that unfortunately missed their first round draft pick. Picked up a very scary
You
roster.
wouldn't know from looking at the roster.
Nope. Looking at this team, Indeedee Female, Sneasler, Chandelure, Enamorous Therian, Slowking Galar, Gliscor, Noivern, Crawdon, Magnezone, Alolan Sandslash, Abomasnow, Tropius. One of the two rosters that have all 12 mons filled out. This is scary, man. Like, we don't need to introduce Sneasler. We don't need to introduce Chandelure. He's got a snow mode in the back. Like,
There is a lot on this roster that works well together. Liam has drafted a lot of tools to utilize on this roster to help get things into position. Um, and I mean, Liam came in with a game plan and they executed. They drafted a lot of mons that they're familiar with, a lot of mons that operate in Trick Room, some mons that operate outside of Trick Room incredibly effectively. Um, and Tropius is here for the vibes, man. Tropius is here for the vibes. I believe in Tropius. Trop-
I can guarantee you Tropius will get one kill by the end of the season, and it's gonna be like the most unexpected kill
oh, it's
we
gonna be so
ever
funny.
imagine. I
Random tangent. Tropius, one of the first Pokemon designs that like I fell in love with back in Gen 3. God, when I learned that it was garbage competitively, the way my heart broke. My two things on the wish list for Legend CA, even though like I do not want to play VGC with Megas, that terrifies me. I do not want to play VGC in Legend CA. I think that would be incredibly like like just from the concept of what the Legends series of games is supposed to be. Um the two things on my wish list. One, Mega Flygon, because we all want Mega Flygon. Two, Megatronus.
I I think Mega Flygon's more likely to happen. I hate to break it to you. I personally don't think Tropius is going to be in the game.
It's probably not. It doesn't really
Yeah,
fit into Kalos. But
like
like it can I get a Tropius Evo in Gen 10 maybe? Can we go somewhere?
I
Can we
mean,
go somewhere tropical? Can we go
we
somewhere
we
coastal?
just upgraded Primeape, so and Duraludon. Like we can get. All right, moving
Tropius
on.
needs some love.
Moving on from the tangent back to Liam's team. I think Gl- Gliscor is going to be a Pokemon that exists. I also think Slowking Galar with I believe Chilling Reception. I think that's the move causes snow and then a swap out. Imagine
Yep.
Liam's got the exact board state he wants. He's chilling receptions, and then Sand Slash Alola comes in with Slush Rush. That is gonna happen at some point. Like this soft snow mode is gonna be a pain to deal with.
The soft snow is fun. It is really cool that Liam can go Trick Room and have Alolan Sandslash at the back as cleanup. That's cool. Um, I think you might be underselling what Galarian Slowking and Gliscor can do a little bit. They are problems. Um, I'm very glad I do not have to prep against this, at least in the regular season, because uh, all of all of these mons, yeah, all of these mons for the most part are incredibly versatile, and Liam is a phenomenal team builder. They'll absolutely maximize this roster,
I think
and it's already incredibly
yeah.
strong.
I think before the draft, I think everyone was scared of Liam, and we kind of got the nerf that we needed of them missing their first round pick. But
It wasn't even
this is
that strong of a
this is
nerf
still a look at this
as
roster.
yeah, for as harsh as our pick timeout penalty is. I know there's been some discourse on that. And for as harsh as that penalty is, that's not slowing Liam down. They're gonna absolutely like. Great. I think this is their first VGC draft league, but they've been playing single draft for a while. They're an incredibly strong VGC player, coming off of, I believe, well, maybe not back to back day two. I know two of their last three regionals, at least, if not all three, they've day two'd, right? So incredibly strong VGC player, lots of draft experience. So definitely someone to look out for.
Very scared. Hopefully, I don't remember if I played them. Hopefully not. Next up, we got Chris of the Macho Mudkips, the last standing Lost Pod member. Um, pretty pretty small roster compared to what you think. Yes, it's still 10 moms, but we have Ogerpon Cornerstone, we have the Whimsicott, we have Walking Wake, King Gambit, Arcanine, Palmot, Dugtrio, Esperatha, Poltergeist, and Corviknight. My favorite of the entire team is Corviknight. Um, the fact that this Mon went undrafted and Chris, I believe, picked it up on transactions is criminal.
I think Corviknight, it's one of the Mons that, off of last season's performance in Lost Woods, got a price hike and people got sticker shock off. That being said, it's incredibly strong, and I think Chris has the tools here to, help Corviknight really do its thing. I think Palmot's an incredibly cool partner for it. I think Dugtrio is an incredibly cool partner for it. I think Whimsicott and Arcanine are incredibly cool partners for it, right? But the thing that really terrifies me is having Ogerpon Cornerstone and Walking Wake on the same roster is a problem. Especially when you add in the fact that Whimsicott is there to set up the board state for instant KO. This is
I
terrible.
was planning on getting Wake in the third, and then Chris got it, so I pivoted. That thing is a menace. Chris, he can set up Sunny Day, and his fire attacks are boosted. Hydro Steam's going to be boosted. He can hit hard with Cornerstone. We don't even need to introduce King Gambit. That Mon is always
we haven't even touched on King Gambit yet. We've been talking about this team for like 2.5 minutes. We have not addressed the elephant in the room.
yeah. King Gambit will be a Pokemon. Arcanine's versatile. Arena Trap Dugtrio will screw someone. Poltergeist is the one Mon on this team you will not see coming, and that thing will destroy you. Whether it's Shell Smash, Baton Pass, whether it's Trick Room, it's gonna exist.
And I'm just gonna call out Espathra plus Walking Wake. If you are playing against the Macho Mudkips this season, and those two Pokemon are on the field together, say your prayers. Say your prayers.
Lumina
It's
Crash is gonna end you.
Lumina Crash isn't gonna end you. Lumina Crash is, you know, the anime uppercut that sends you 20 feet into the air. And up there to meet you is Walking Wake, maw open, hydro steam directly to the face.
This
GG's.
this team, I'm scared of it. Like Whimsicott is always an issue. Like this thing, it's gonna have Prankster. Like it's gonna get Tailwind. If it wants to, it can Trick Room. Like the thought of leading Whimsicott King Gambit and then seeing Whimsicott move last is a very scary thing. It has Encore. Like it it's
Also,
dangerous.
I believe this is the only roster with Revival Blessing. Because I believe Smeargle is undrafted, and I believe Rapsco's in.
I believe you are correct on that.
That's the
Revival
problem.
Blessing. I think Revival Blessing's an interesting move. But it's dangerous.
It's gonna catch someone this season.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's like the most cracked tech of all time. I'm just saying there is one roster out there with Revival Blessing. This is it. And it has Pokemon that could absolutely take advantage of Revival Blessing.
All right. Moving on to the Boston Blackjacks, coached by Jake. Starting us off, this looks like a very VGC roster. You've got Volcarona, you have Rillaboom, you have Clefable, Incineroar. This is just a Reg H team. You have Metagross, you have Gengar, Blastoise, Kommo in the 8th, which is nuts. Rhydon, Oricorio Pom Pom, and then Chestnut. Synergy is what this team has. You have your standard balance core. If you want to, you can run pledge moves. You have set up Chestnut with Rillaboom. Volcarona exists. Like, this is a strong team.
This is so incredibly balanced. This is a roster that is so adaptable, so versatile, and so 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 solid fundamental. Uh Jake is someone who understands the fundamentals of VG. And this is a team that forces you to play good fundamental Pokemon. Um, Pay attention to your speed order. Pay attention to priority. Pay attention to your board state. Pay attention to fake out. Pay attention to turns of trick room. Pay attention to there isn't Tailwind on this team. Pay attention to redirection, right? Pay attention to terrain. This team is so solid, so versatile. This isn't a team that's going to come out. Well, it can come out and punch you in the face if it wants to. But this is a team that Jake is going to wear you down. And of all the 16 coaches in the league, he is not the person I want to be facing in a grinded out, get the turns correct match.
Personally, as someone who's newer to the VGC scene, I've only been here for like less than a year. I didn't get to play with like Jake when he was like taking names, but like I don't want to imagine what he's gonna do with this team. This looks like a team that like you are gonna lose unless you out prep him, and even then, you're still probably gonna lose. Like this is a team you know what it's gonna try to do, but do you really? Like it's got a ton of setup. Dancer, we haven't touched on Dancer yet. Volcarona with Dancer is disgusting. Como O, which I believe personally was the MVP of last season. I thought about I almost thought about taking it based on how far it fell. Like this thing is gross. The rest of these mons, no introduction. This will be a strong team.
Yeah, absolutely. This team has the tools to shut down what your roster wants to do. Prepping into this team, you better have plans B, C, and C ready to go.
Yeah. Not a team I know I faced Jake in the season, I'm pretty sure. Not looking forward to it.
Yeah, this
Um
is not a week I'm excited to prep about at all.
it's it's a team that's gonna make you play Pokemon, and in draft, those are always the teams that are most dangerous. Moving on, we get a rain team next, Hawk of the Island Dragons. Um,
Back to back seasons
coming
in the
back from
rain
last
on the
season.
islands, baby.
We got Pelipper first. We know what's happening next. We get Tornadus, Hitmontop, Electabuzz, Palafin, Breloom, Galarian Articuno, Beartic, Tauros Blaze, and Shiftry. My first thought, I'm really disappointed that he did not get Archaludon. I thought Archaludon would have done wonders for this team, but still an extremely solid team overall. I'm mainly
My
looking at
guess
that.
is Arch got sniped because Arch went round three, and round three we're going down the order. Elena picked off Arch before
I think
Hawk could
Arch
get it.
actually went round 4, if I'm not mistaken. I think Elena,
Uh,
if I'm not mistaken, I can check quick.
yeah, let's look at Elena's roster real
Yeah,
quick. Oh no, it
Arch
went round four.
round 4.
Um, that being said, I'm a huge fan of Hitmontop. Um, I think in a draft format, Hitmontop is exactly the Pokemon that you want to be supporting your offensive threats. Um, this team has offense. You can't sleep on the likes of Galarian Articuno. You can't sleep on the likes of Palafin. You can't sleep on the likes of Tornadus. Um, this is a team that I am left questioning a little bit, like where the big damage comes from, but also like you got to deal with you either got to deal with the rain or you got to deal with strong positional play.
I think
And week to week, it's going to change. And if you're not conscious about having the tools to counter how Hawk's going to control the board, you could end up in a very tricky spot.
I think this is a team it's going to be hard to displace when you're trying to get rid of Electabuzz and Hawk has 3 immunities to ground. That's not going to be fun. You've got Beartic, which everyone should know, but most don't know gets Swift Swim. Articuno has competitive. Breloom's going to be a surprise Spore user. Palafin needs no introduction. You have Wind Rider Shiftry to pair with the Tornadus. Like, this has, I think, a lot of hidden synergy, but I think it's going to be up to Hawk to really see can he do anything with
This is a roster that has all the tools, but will take work. Um, with Hawk's not someone I know personally, but given a season of experience playing draft or playing specifically Lost Woods in the rain, right? And I don't think Hawk did horribly last season.
it.
I'm sure we were in for some rough. Well, I say we. Do I play Hawk? I do play Hawk. Damn it! I'm one of the 8 that's in for
I
some
think
rough
the
weeks.
both of us are going to be in for it this season. I think I do get to play Hawk. I might play him in week 8, which
Oh,
not when you want to play this team. Don't quote me on that again. I think considering even if he had a down season last one, I honestly don't remember. The fact that he's coming into a second season with about over half the same people running the same archetype but just powered up, it's going to be dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Um, moving on, our next team, Charjozo and their Divas, coached by CJ. This, if you told me CJ was in this draft and I looked at these teams, this is the team I'd expect them to draft. You have your Mouse Ape, Indeedee Male, Torkoal, Enamorous, Delphox, Gallade. We know what this thing is doing. Persian Alola, Vileplume, and Chinchino. Um,
This is a disgusting roster.
I have to prepare for this week one.
Yeah, have fun with
I,
that.
I am not having fun with it already. Synergy, you see it. You have your size spam, you have your sunroom, you have mouse ape. Which mode are they gonna go? They could go one, they could go three. You're probably gonna lose on turn zero. It's the moment you let this team get set up, it is gonna die.
There are so many good pairs on this. What it is this a 12 mon roster? This is an
11.
11 mon roster. There are let me do my math. There are 55 dangerous pairs of Pokemon here. I don't see much that doesn't really work together that is like incredibly anti-synergistic. Um, and the Pokemon that synergize very obviously together are very dangerous. It's if this is a very CJ roster, they're very comfortable with a lot of these mons. They're very comfortable with how a lot of these mons want to play. They're very comfortable with the board states that this roster leans into. So, and we're getting a relatively refreshed CJ coming off of a break in VGC and getting to staff events now. I am terrified.
I
I'm glad I don't have to play CJ because this roster does not look fun.
as someone who
Good luck this season,
yeah,
or good luck
I'm
this week. I mean,
as someone I was supposed to play CJ last season. I got Leaf instead, week 8. I do not want to know what CJ is going to do with Annihilate. I know they have a reputation of using size spam, of using Sunroom. Even the small things, you have Skill Link Chinchino. I don't want to fight this. As someone who used Skill Link 2 Cannon, I know what Skill Link can do. Vileplume. I'm pretty sure at one point they brought like last season they had like a Sneasel like use like a dark move on Annihilate to proc like multiple stat boosts. I forgot what week
hey,
that was, but with Persian
hey,
Alola,
Ronald, hey, Ronald, do you want to have nightmares tonight?
no.
Skill Link Chinchino. You give it a minus attack nature. You give it a scarf. You put it next to Ape. That Rage Fist is instantly 300 base power.
I don't want to. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk.
You want to have nightmares? There's your nightmare. Have
This
fun.
this is not a team. This is a team. It will go fast.
Or not.
I
It
I
could
don't.
it could it could not.
It will go
Right? And
fast.
that's the
It,
thing.
it will go fast, and then you will see Trick Room Torkoal come out, and you will see Terraflyer Terrafire Choice Specs Eruption with Charge Bug on the field in the sun, and you're dead. This I'm not happy to play this week one. I might record prep, and I think it could take me 2 hours. So,
Yeah, no, this is not a fun roster to play. CJ drafted to their game and they drafted well.
another thing that's really not fun that I have to look at everything here. Sunny gave me Sharpness Gallade nightmares last year. That thing one shot my slacking. I don't want to deal with that again. Cute Charm Enamorous, like you think contrary, and then Cute Charm could come out. I don't want to prep for Cute Charm. I'm gonna have to. Like most of these other things make complete sense, but it's all like really scary stuff. Moving
The
on.
number of psychic terrain abusers on this roster. Oh my god.
Oh,
Anyways,
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Moving on. We have my team. Um, Personally, I am very psyched about my team. I wanted to draft a team that I think I could win almost every matchup with. I think I did it. I Landers. My original plan in the draft was Screamtail first round, and then Landers Therian fell to me. I don't know how that happened. So we have Lando Therian, we have Screamtail, Glastrier, Meowscarada, Dozo, Latios, Regieleki, Magmar, Toxapex, Malamar, and Knucklestack. I'm psyched to run this team.
This is an incredibly strong roster. I think you've done really well here to the mods themselves. A lot of them are relatively pigeonholed in their role in terms of not really having like being so optimized that like they're kind of shoehorned into what they want to do to a degree. But that being said, the flexibility with this roster, you said you wanted to draft something that could win every week. I think you have the tools to take on uh, most anything, right? I mean, incredibly strong offensive tools, a lot of fat Pokemon here. Um, the name of the game is going to be try to break this team. Not everyone's going to have the tools to. And I mean, if you if you want to catch someone off guard, you've got some fast offense here, some fast, hard hitting offense, right? The likes of Lando, the likes of Yaskarada, the likes of Screamtail, the likes of Regieleki to either do the booming or set up someone else to do the booming, right? Um,
Uh,
incredibly strong roster.
yeah,
I think you drafted well.
I'm excited. I think just touching on it, Screamtail. This is my favorite mon of this draft. Um, thank God, like I would have loved to have them. Thank God Linty's not here because I know I would not have gotten Screamtail. Also, shout out Linty. They helped me solve the Malabar Knackle Stackle. So thank you for that. Um, I'm
Man,
excited to use this mod.
I miss June. Get her back in here making content, please.
We need the lost pod. I miss the content. No Smeargle drafted as well. That's another thing. But I think Screamtail. I think last year is going to be a problem for a lot of teams that they don't see coming. I think that even though like it doesn't look obvious what the Trick Room mode is, I think the fact that I can bring Glastrier or Dozo into any Trick Room team is just going to be a threat.
You have Glastrier, Dozo, you have Knackle Stack, you have Pokemon to either get you into Trick Room or reverse Trick Room. Um, you have a lot of tools. Um, I would still love to make a trade work, but
Unfortunately, I am keeping Latios. Um,
eh, we could talk.
we could. All right. Moving on.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be Latios.
yeah.
I think between you have 4, 8, 11. Between our 11 plus 12, 23. Between our 23 Pokemon, there are two really solid rosters. And I think I gotta work the phones a little more on this one. We'll get my people in contact with your people. We'll iron something out.
Sounds good. Moving on. A member and team builder of the defending team. Unfortunately, Gerd is not back, but I think if we claim Corrosion as a defending champion, this is not a team you want to see Corrosion run. Like this this is a team that they would draft. You have Entei, Grimmsnarl, Spectrier, Gyarados, Iron Crown, Garchomp, Pachirisu, Superior, Vikavolt, Stantler, and Dashbun. This is a team with a lot of synergies. You've got your Disquake, that's the first one. You have Grim Superior. You have Entei Go Fast. Spectrier is a criminally underrated mon. I don't need to talk about Gyarados. This is a not fun team that anyone's gonna have to prep for.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Stantler the only trick room setter on this roster?
I think it
It,
might be, unless
it might be.
Spectrier gets it. I think it's just Stantler.
Spectre does not get it. Calyrex does. Spectre does not. Um, Crown might, but I doubt it. But aside from that, I was just looking at that just to see if corrosion can get you in the trick room and do damage. And I'm not, no disrespect to Stantler at all. Stantler, I think, as a trick room setter, especially now that it has access to Eviolite, is a problem. Uh, no, we never talk about how good of a defensive type pure normal is. So, um, incredibly cool stuff.
Yeah,
Um, all in all, a roster that has a lot of different ways to beat you, a lot of different ways it can play.
yeah,
Corrosion can play offense, Corrosion can play balance. There are a lot, Corrosion can play screens, Corrosion can play, uh, setup. There's a lot of different ways that this roster can function. And corrosion is another. If we know anything about corrosion, corrosion's diligence in prep, absurd.
yeah,
Corrosion will very diligently prep every week. And at the end of the day, like sometimes draft is just about how much you can outwork your opponent. And corrosion is someone who's willing to do it. So they've got a roster with tools to take advantage of, and we know they're going to take advantage.
yeah. This team, it's scary. I was talking a lot with Corrosion in the draft, like just like asking because they are very good at draft. So like I asked what they thought about picks. That's why we went with the Glacier Spectre 1-2 punch because we both were gonna draft it. We did that. I know a lot of their like ideas in the draft as to like what they thought was good and like criminally undervalued. They built a very strong team. We got one of the Keon specials from last season. Um, Vikavolt is something that you have to watch out for every week. I know it has 43 speed stat. I think, or I don't know if it's exactly 43, but just because it's not fast, unless this is wrong, this thing hits like a truck.
It is slow. It's typically a trick room nuke.
Yeah,
That special attack stat is stupid. Having even though it's like a bug electric type, so it doesn't really care about grad moves. Having gravitate's always nice. Um, and it is a problem if you give it a couple turns to just wreak havoc. So
yeah, yeah. I like they know like the ins and outs of Pokemon. Like this, if you have a move, this it is not going to be hidden.
yeah, I mean, we saw last season. They were, I guess, like the 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 assistant coach, right, of the Ruthless Raichu. We saw the tear that that team went on. We saw Gerd, someone who doesn't have necessarily a ton of time to, play the game as much as, they're involved as like EO and everything. Uh, who is a decent player, but not. I saw Gerd playing in a way that I've never seen him play before in these draft matches. Um, and a lot of that just came down to the level of preparation uh, uh, that those two are willing to put in.
Yeah,
So if corrosion can get Gerd playing like that, what corrosion can do on their own, they're fine.
and no shade to Gerd as well, but imagine if like the amount of time
Now,
Corrosion put
m-
into the team without like wait having to need to communicate to Gerd and instead of using that time to like prep, that is one
well,
scary man.
I think something that was incredibly effective for them as a duo was the ability to very diligently block. Um, because I mean, Gerd did contribute a fair bit more than like we give him credit for.
Yeah.
Um, but the ability to do mock battles um, against someone who is not building the roster is huge. Um, we'll see if Corrosion has a way to do that. Have someone who is willing to be his Corrosion this season.
Yeah.
We'll see. But no, all in all, they're terrifying.
Yeah. I think
As a draft prep machine, they're terrifying.
I think
Um,
no matter what you say this year, Corrosion will be the scariest person to play in draft by a mile. Like it you don't know what they're going to do each week.
I'm glad I don't have to play them.
All right, moving on to our final team. It's revenge season, back on the wheel. It's the rambunctious Reggies, who come back with a roster maybe not like as like insane as we thought their last year was, but by the look on your face, this is gonna take names. You have Farigiraf, you have Reggie Draco, Iron Valiant, Torterra, Hisuian Samurott, Heatran, Zapdos, Thwacky. Wood Slim Jim is back, but on a different team. Rhyperior, Infernape, and Ardos. Very strong team. I think every we all are looking at the Reggie Draco, but in my opinion, everyone should be looking at the Iron Valiant or the Zapdos on this team.
Yeah, this team on its face like jumps off the page is like, oh yeah, no, like in Trick Room, this team is a menace. Outside of Trick Room, Valiant is fast enough to set up the board for Drago. And Reggie Drago was a bond that I was hoping to get in round two and couldn't get. And it is an absolute nuke.
Yeah.
Um, and it has the tools, it has the partners on this team to set up the board for it to do damage. And its partners will do damage in their own right. Um, I think we forgot about Heatran collectively as a community. Um, Heatran, I think was it last really relevant in Reg F? It was, and now we're playing Reg F again. It's been a minute since we played Reg F. Reg F started a year ago, right? I think Heatran is a problem. Um, I think Infernape is a problem. I, at one point in the draft, was looking at Blaziken for my team because it gets a lot of similar tools to Infernape, but Infernape does a lot of things Blaziken does
Yeah.
better. Um, and having Farigiraf, um, both as a tool to, control the board, but also as a tool to just dish out damage. Like we can't sleep on Farigiraf's damage output. We've seen it over the months, over the years at this point, right, of Scarlet Violet. So
This team is not this immediately, this entire team, if you don't have a fairy type, good game. It's over. No shot. With that being said,
which
if you
which is
still
which is few and far between.
yeah,
Um,
if you still
just
have
in general.
if you still have a fairy type, you're still gonna get blasted by Heatran. There's still gonna be a ton more checks, and then when that fairy type goes down, the game will be ended. This this is probably the one Mon that I think nobody wanted John to get, but because he was on the wheel, you'd have to invest so much early to stop him. I think the one thing we can all say is thank God he didn't get Whimsicott. If that would have been terrible, but you have
John had the
Armtail.
opportunity to draft Drago Whimsicott or Drago for Rig. Um, I am personal like Drago Whimsicott is scary. Absolutely. Drago for Rig is
Oh,
I think John has taken the experience of last season and basically said, all right, I am a good draft player. It was a fluke. Let me take the lessons in supporting my absolute duke of a special attacker and go all in.
yeah. This
Um, And you take away Drago, this beat you. It still
Yeah,
can, but you have to think about the Drago.
yeah. On more underrated stuff, I always like to call them out. We do have pledge moves here. We have the Infernape, we have Torterra, Samurott. Normally for pledge moves, I am looking at Swamp. You've got Hisui and Samurott, which can be on the field. Torterra can have his niches, so I would expect Swamp to show up. Overall, an extremely scary roster. All right. Now I think that's all 16 teams. Do we want to tier list this? Start off with we'll just go in order, I say. So we have Rockwell, Good Guy Gudras. Um we'll pull back up the roster just so we
I'm
have
gonna need you to do that every
just so we
time.
have it. Um team very much a Rockwell team. Um my entire idea, I'm gonna base this off like would I like to draft this team? I think this team could be either a mid to low B or a very high C.
I I think it's a very solidly B tier in that respect.
Yeah,
Um, you're saying in terms of how much would you like to be the coach of this team? My takes are going to be from the perspective
yeah.
of how scared am I to prepare against this team, like personally. Um, this team, you can prepare against it, and I say this all with the caveat of I know when it comes to playing Pokemon, I am probably like the most aloof, most makes the dumb mistakes player in this league. So like, if I feel good about preparing against a roster, Lord knows I'm gonna fumble that match anyway. But like, this isn't a team that's impossible to prep for. But
It's hard.
boy, it's got a lot of ways to beat you,
Yeah.
and it looks fun. It looks fun.
Oh, it's a Weezing is a fun Pokemon to play.
I Weezing itself is not the fun part of this roster.
Yeah.
Sinistra is fun. Politoed is fun. Backs in Rockwell's hands is fun. Right? Like there, Toad's cruel. I've been gonna leak from the league sources. I was trying to get Toad's cruel off Rockwell's hands. I was trying. That's a fun mod, you know. So
All right. I think B tier. I think that's a solid place. This is Rockwell, so it will be A tier by the end of the season. Moving on back to the Toronto Toads. I think another really solid team, one that like I don't think it's like too scary, but like if you don't respect it. I think this could be another. I think this could be an A tier team. An A
oh,
tier
this
or
is interesting.
maybe a high B.
This is interesting because we're grading on different metrics.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, I can prepare against this. I'm not gonna have fun doing it, but I can. So in my mind, it was more on the other side of B, leading towards C. Um, we can make this your tier list. We can make this an aggregate of our tier lists,
I
but uh,
I say we make it an aggregate. I say we put it in high B tier. But
okay.
in between
I am going to go on a rant.
okay.
You came here for the yap. Here is the yap. Okay, listen. If you're ordering things within the tiers, then it's not a tier list. It is a strict ranking. All right. The whole idea of a tier list is you are putting things in buckets. If you want to make nuance in the buckets, make more buckets. Like, no, like genuinely, like if you want to differentiate between teams in like orders of B tier, that's fine. Make a B plus, make a B minus, right? Like the whole idea of a bucket is we are just grouping things together, right? And if we are like ordering within the tiers, doing all this little nuance, it defeats the purpose. At that point, we might as well just go 1 to 16 with it, you know? So like that is That is my rant. That is my rant aside. When I make tier lists, you do not order within the tiers. If you want to have more granularity, make more tiers. If I need granularity in my tier list, I'm making pluses, I'm making minuses, or I'm just going to strict ranking. If I'm giving you S, A, B, C, D, within B, there is. I might think something in B is stronger or weaker than something else in B, but it doesn't matter. They're both B. That's all that matters.
This is
That's
how
my
we know
take.
it. This is how we know it's 10 p.m. at night.
God damn, it's 10 already? Oh my god.
We've been yapping. All right.
Ronald, understand. That is a rant that I have gone on at 11 in the morning. I have gone on that exact rant at 11 in the morning in a different context.
All right. We won't rank them yet. We'll group them.
If there is, I have thrown out the joking disclaimer. If there's any of this order with it, that's all wrong. That's not me. B tier is B tier. I think these are both B tier teams.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. All right. So with that rant, we'll leave AJ
I'm
in.
done.
We'll leave AJ in the B tier. Moving on, Alec with the sassy Sylveons.
God, wait, I said S tier might be empty.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I personally, I would put this in S tier.
I don't know if I can disagree. I don't know if I can. I'm looking for a reason to put it in A. I'm looking for something in my soul that says, okay, actually on second thought, like prepping into this team, no.
I mean,
I don't want to. I don't want to. I am paranoidly double checking my schedule. I thank God I don't have to.
yeah, this
I'm
is
good.
what
I'm
do you do?
good.
Like Terra Ghost Air Balloon? Like what are you gonna do?
No,
Like
no, you can't Terra Ghost Air Balloon. You know why? Terra Ivy Cudgel. GG's.
game over. Yeah, this
GG.
I think if we have an S tier team, I think this would be it.
Yeah, this is disgusting. I
Yeah,
don't like this.
no questions asked. The Stoneham Superiors, Anthony's Sun team. Personally, for me, I would put it in C tier. I think
On my metric, this is a D tier
D tier.
because prep. Well, just because I'm saying in terms of how do I feel prepping into this. Again, like it is a very one-dimensional team. I have to be diligent, right? Like this isn't like a cakewalk to prep against by any means. You got to dot your I's and you got to cross your T's, and you got to make sure that D Knight's not going to catch you off guard. You got to make sure that Venusaur and Jumpluff are not going to catch you off guard, right? But at the end of the day, you know what Anthony wants to do with this team, which is why for me, on the metric of how scary is it to prep against, it's a D.
Um,
It's a D tier that if you disrespect it, will whoop.
yeah, I think I don't want to put anyone in D right now because I don't want to make enemies. But I think this is a team that like you have a plan going into. Next up we have the Worcester Woo Sox. Now I'm interested to see where you want to put your team. Like not from a prep standpoint, but where do you think this team matches up compared to the other teams?
Okay, I mean, where do I think my roster stacks up? Like amongst the others in the league that we've seen, I think C or D, to be honest. If I'm being completely honest, this is a roster that uh, it can do things, but it doesn't know what it wants to do. Which describes me perfectly.
Low C, or my bad, not low C, just C. I'm too used to.
No.
You know what? I'm gonna rank them.
Ronald, you're allowed. You're 100% allowed to rank within the tiers.
Yeah.
You just know where I stand,
Yeah.
and you know that I am sitting behind here, just looking at you like this.
Like, yeah. Personally, if you want to put yourself in C, I can understand it. I think you have a a lot of things that could be going for you. Would argue this could be a B tier team. Um,
I think my roster is one or two major moves away.
All right. For that
I just have to
motivation,
find
then
them.
I'll leave you in C. For the
No, no. I
motivation.
mean, I know, I'm sure, like, there are things on this roster that I don't see that Elena will see in prep this week. Like, I guarantee you. So,
All right. Next team we have. Speaking of, I believe the Battleboro Breloons. Um, I
oh,
I think this is a solid B team.
I think this is A.
My one thing about it though, I think it could be A, high B, low A, is the inconsistent rain setter. I feel like you're forced to bring Murkrow every week if you want rain, which is like a bit, unless I'm missing something
Thi-
in those.
well, if you want rain, yes. This team does not need rain.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
It
with
doesn't
like
need it.
with power or teal. I,
Well, no, even AV Stamina Arch does not need
oh
rain
yeah,
to be effective. You don't need to run Electroshot on Arch to be a problem, right? You don't need Swift Swim for Basculegion to be a problem, right? Uh, who else even really abuses it? You don't need to run Hurricane on Salamence for Salamence to be a problem, right? This team does not need rain, but when you give it rain, it's a problem, and you have to prepare for it.
yeah,
But then you also have to prepare for it outside of the
yeah.
rain.
I do agree. I think giving it, thinking about it, I think an A tier with I will be more sold on the A tier after I see what it can do this week. And I think Elena will show us what it will be able to do.
Yeah, no, quick O2 for me coming. Dear God.
All right. Next up, Ivan the Slow Bros. Solid. Solid, in my opinion. I feel like I keep on saying B, but I feel like we have a lot of B teams
No, 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 no. There,
here.
like I said at the beginning, there is so much parity in this league.
Yeah.
I think that battle for the fourth through eighth seeds
Oh,
is going to be 10 teams deep,
it,
genuinely.
it's gonna
Like,
be like
I
last
I
season.
no, it's going to be a dog fight in there. Um, and like this is a roster that can hang in there with that crew. Um, like looking at it in terms of how I want to prep against it, um, definitely like very solidly B tier in terms of like this doesn't feel impossible to prep against, right? But God, it's gonna be a pain to prep against.
Yeah,
Um,
I
yeah,
would I would definitely agree that like I don't want to play this team. I think this is gonna be hell to prep against. I think the fact that you have to make all your calcs with Ting Lu in mind is gonna make everything about 10 times harder.
yep.
So I'd
You thought
agree.
that KO'd? No, it doesn't.
Nope. New York Ninetales with Mr. B. Another, I think,
Eh.
yeah. I think you could argue this for, um,
By my metric, it's a B, but like God, I hate looking at this in
yeah.
the context of I'm playing against it. I don't know how you feel about playing with it, right?
Um,
But
Playing against it is scary. I think if you know how to play with it, I think this is another like, I think you could argue this is another like B team. I think it's not insanely scary, not like Alec or like Elena's teams are gonna be, but like this thing will hit like a truck. And if
well,
you're
yeah,
not,
like I'm not looking at this roster thinking like, God, what am I gonna do? But I'm looking at this roster thinking like, oh God, I'm scared of what it's gonna do. You know,
yeah,
there's a distinction there.
yeah,
Like I'm not completely lost looking at this and thinking about starting prep, but like I know the second I do start prep, I'm gonna uncover some demons.
yeah. Um, Overall, Mr. B with a solid B tier for me. Um, man, where do we start with this team? Northern Neuverns. I think this could be an A tier team.
That's what my gut was saying too.
Yeah, I think
Just because, like, I'm not completely lost on where to start, which is why this doesn't land an S for me. But like,
it's
God, just immediately, I'm like, this is.
we
Immediately I am overwhelmed.
we gave Liam this. This is just this is diabolical. This
We
this is
we
bad.
gave that we gave them Indeedee Steesler in rounds 2 and 3
That's an A tier
in
team
the middle of the draft order.
all along. I don't have much more to say about it. Like this is just solid.
Hmm.
Macho Mudkips with Chris.
Oh, oh God, that's an A.
This
That's an A
isn't.
for that. That's an A for me. Again, I'm not completely lost looking at how to prep against this, but I don't want to start prepping for it.
Yeah, this
I don't want to start.
this is another team that will take names, like zero questions asked. Um,
Oh,
Everything on this team is dangerous. Um, Jake with the Boston Blackjacks. I think this.
this is another roster where, based on our metrics, we're going to wildly disagree,
Yeah,
right? Based on how we're grading the team. Because in terms of preparing against it, right? My thought trying to prepare against this roster is, let me find some way to maximize what I want to do that this team won't necessarily shut down, right? So for me, I'm like looking into this and trying to prep against it. I'm like, let me maximize what I can do and play you honestly, right?
yeah.
So for me, that like lands it in like a C tier, right? Just based on like the metric I'm grading against, right? In terms of, do I want to play this roster? Hell yeah, I want to play
Yeah.
this roster. Oh my God.
I think this team is dangerous. I think it's really how Jake wants to play it. I think there's arguments for S. I think for us to like if
If
we're
we're
trying
gonna
to
if we're gonna compromise, you can throw it in A.
yeah, I think this team could really ease. I think after week one, I think depending on how Jake plays it against Corrosion, this could be S tier very easily.
Oh, I
Ev-
mean, like, if I was grading on a different metric, this would be an S tier roster for sure.
no,
If I was grading on a different metric.
yeah, I think we leave it in A for now, or should we?
Listen, it's your tier list.
That
Like
is
I said,
true.
all thoughts expressed
I'm gonna put
on the
it in
screen
S. I
are
think
yours.
I think this team is gonna be cracked. Um, did we shit on Incineroar a bit? Yeah,
Did we?
or at least I did. I shat on Incineroar. Um, I didn't think it would be great.
I
I think it fits well on this roster.
how many points is Incineroar?
That's a
Check the draft.
good
How
question.
many points is it?
Um, we're 18.
I think it's a 17-point mod,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think it's 17-point mod in a draft. What's the tax stat again?
It
Uh,
might be 115.
115. 115. Yeah, it's an 18-pointer.
Yeah. I think
You don't have to run Incineroar as the classic Incineroar,
yeah.
and that alone makes it an 18-pointer for.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We have Hawk, Island Dragons. I'm gonna be real.
Again, my metric ends up being harsh for this, but
Yeah, I'm admittedly not that scared of this team. I think it's similar to Anthony's, but it might be able to do a tiny bit less.
I don't think so.
Think slightly more?
I think, well, this roster is not as hard weather as Anthony's roster is.
Okay, yeah, that is true.
And this roster, the pieces that are not hard rain do synergize with the rain pieces slightly better than on Anthony's roster, the pieces that are not hard sun synergizing with the sun piece. Um, which is why, like for Anthony's roster, I was like, in terms of preparing against it, I feel okay. Um, this roster, I also feel okay, but like slightly less.
Yeah,
Like this is like a gut reaction. Like it's still a C tier roster in my mind, but
yeah. Um,
well, oh, sorry, not C tier roster. I misspoke. It's still a C tier immediate gut feeling when I'm preparing.
yeah. All right. Next up, CJ's.
The roster is
Uh,
solid.
yeah. Next up, CJ's team. I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think.
I just yeah, audible feelings.
I think this team is going to be a really solid B team because this is one of the teams that I'm not going to look at like how do I think I play this. I think if we think how CJ's going to play this, it's going to
Yeah.
be it's going to be a high B low.
This team, in terms of how do I feel looking at this roster, trying to prepare against it, um, it's a borderline S for me in terms of just gut feeling, looking at the roster and being like, ugh, you know,
Yeah,
like I think
I
the compromise between us is A tier here for
yeah,
sure because like left to my own devices, this might end up S tier on my tier list of S for shitting myself scared.
yeah. All right. I I can agree with that. I've already like looked at it. I like thought about prep for 20 minutes and I thought like what am I going to do into this? So, and I
It's
had no
20 minutes of just freaking out,
yeah,
and now you're good and it's
I
out of your
had no
system,
yeah.
and now you're lost.
Yeah. All right, 3 teams left. My team. I
Come
think
on.
how I want to use this team, I think it's either going to be high B or mid to low A.
Mm.
Like this is a team I'm happy to play with. I see a lot of options I have.
Yeah. Let me look at the roster again. I'm trying to decide what the letter to this feeling is. Uh oh god, yeah, the letter to this feeling is definitely a B. Um yeah. Might even be not quite A-ish. Just because I know looking at this roster that you have to work to like build six, right? Like looking at this roster, I'm like, damn, I gotta put in work, but so do you.
Yeah,
Um, and it makes the feeling slightly better.
yeah,
That being said, like I am also someone who is going to acknowledge that I will get outworked most weeks.
yeah. No,
I'll get outworked and outplayed every week in the season. But you know what? It's a good time, and I'm gonna learn. So I'm here for
yeah,
it.
yeah. Area 151 with corrosion. Um, this is another team that like if I had to judge based on who's playing it instead of me, easy A tier. At least for me.
Yeah, for me, looking at this in terms of preparation, right, and like gut feeling, wow, that was a slow burn to an A for me. Because originally I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, oh, A.
Yeah. I I totally agree with it. We talked a lot about it earlier. And corrosion as a player, not much more needs to be said. Last up, John Rambunctious Reggie's. I personally think this is another roster I would like to play with. A solid B tier roster, maybe A tier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's again, it's the same thing on that borderline where like I'm feeling the same simmer come on again of like, oh, okay, this isn't oh, never mind. Oh, this looks oh god, I don't like this at all.
Yeah,
God, I don't like what I have to think about in terms of what this roster can do. Um I think it definitely leans more B than A for me, but Uh, just in terms of like, I look at it and I'm like, I'm scared. I'm scared. I can prepare for it, but I'm scared. um, so, but yeah, no, like all in all, like for as much as there are some rosters that I feel okay about preparing into, just because I feel good about it doesn't mean they're not dangerous in their own right,
Yeah.
right? So,
I think out of
like,
all
I
these
think
rosters, nothing's safe.
there are no free weeks in this league,
Yeah.
um, and I think everyone playing is aware of it, and if they're not aware of it, they're going to be made aware of it real quick. I've like shout out to Leaf. Leaf always puts together a great crew, uh, and he knocked it out the park again with this season's crew,
Yeah.
100%.
This is like just looking at these tiers, like this could change in a week. I'm scared of the C tier teams. If I'm scared of the C tier teams, I'm gonna be scared of the S tier teams. Like this is not an easy league this year to play in, and it's gonna be good. I think one more thing we'll do, looking ahead to week one, if we had, if or at least let's look at the doc. If you had a match on your mind, we have Elena versus Muhammad, Ivan versus Anthony, me versus CJ, Mr. V versus Hawk, Chris versus Rockwell, Corrosion versus Jake, John versus Alec, and Liam versus AJ. If you had one match that you want to see, what match would that be?
See, off the top of my like, that's the problem. I haven't studied the rosters enough to like have them committed to memory. So I'm just going off of pure vibes of the matchup and like the two players, right? I'm looking for storylines. I'm looking for drama, right? I'm looking for content. Um, I think uh, Ivan versus Anthony is a really fun matchup. Uh, in a different draft league that we played, they met in the finals. They're two players who have played against each other a bunch. They know how each other like to build. They know how each other like to play. I think that match. I don't think it's going to be. Anthony might record it. Ivan might record it. I need to talk to him about that. Um, but if it's not recorded, that's going to be a damn shame because I think that's going to be a really good match. Um, Chris versus Rockwell also sticks out to me, and Corrosion versus Jake. I think those are also just those are matches of people who uh, I think there's going to be a lot of gumption in those matches, but
Yeah,
uh, yeah, a lot of really fun matchup.
yeah.
One for
I
sure.
think if I had to choose one match, I would want to see Corrosion versus Jake. I think this is like you have the most VGC, like the is Jake the longest standing veteran out of all of us in VGC?
Uh, if he's not, I'll be surprised.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
been
gonna.
play- he's been playing this game longer than some of you kids have known what a
Yeah,
Pokemon is.
yeah, like I think seeing Jake and then we know how Corrosion is as a draft. This is the match I'd want to see. I think based off of how last season went, I also want to see Alec and John. Alec, that team is strong. If anyone's gonna break it though, I think John has an immediate shot.
And John coming into this season with the oh God, I just absolutely rattled my camera. Um, John coming into this season with the sour taste of 0-8.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I don't want to play that week one. I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that is everything we want to talk about. This I don't know how long we went on. This might be like a 2 hour yap sesh of draft. But
You'll I think you're gonna have work to put in the editing bay,
oh
but
yeah, this will be fun. Um, to everyone watching, I hope you enjoyed watching it. We're probably gonna do more yap sessions.
we hope you enjoyed listening because
Yeah.
let's be real, if you sat here looking at your screen for what I'm going to assume is somewhere around 130 minutes, uh, are you okay? Do you need a hug? I can bring you some turf or some grass to touch, please.
This is gonna be fun to edit back. Well, like we said, we hope you enjoyed. We'll probably get this back up next week, but a bit shorter because the draft episode is always the longest. But yeah, thank you all for watching and good luck in draft. We hope you enjoyed it if you're not in draft, but either way, have a good one.
Yeah, but the bye.